All right, this is section C, writing linear equations. And what we want to be able to do here by the end of today's lesson is be able to write the equation of a line if we are given the slope and the y-intercept. Be able to write the equation of a line by finding the slope using our slope formula and the y-intercept from a graph. Determine the equation of a line using the slope and a point on the line, and determine the equation of a line using 2 points on the line. And we're going to be working mainly with this slope y-intercept form that we've been talking about, y equals mx plus b. Our slope goes in here, and our y-intercept goes in over here. So basically everything we're doing today comes down to trying to be able to find the numbers that go in here for m and go in here for b. Once we know the slope and the y-intercept, we can just plug them in. Like let's say we know that our slope is equal to 3 and our y-intercept is equal to 8. We can just plug those numbers in and write our equation. 3x plus, let's make a nicer 8 there, 3x plus 8 would be our equation. This is our goal in every one of the questions we're going to do today, is to have this final y equals mx plus b form with that slope and that y-intercept in there. Okay? So let's take a look at the first question with we've got a graph here. Okay? And I've written up here at the top the stuff that I just said. To find the equation of a line, we need the slope m and the y-intercept b. So looking at our graph that we've got here, we need to be able to find the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, so let's do the y-intercept first. It is just this point right here where our line crosses the y-axis. So our y-intercept is going to be 2. To do our slope from a graph, we can do the thing that we did last year where we draw this little triangle and we figure out the rise and the run. Right. What is our rise here? Well, if we start here and we're going to this second point over here, we're going down 1, 2, 3. So our rise is going to be -3. And we're going over 1, 2, 3, 4. So our run is going to be 4. So our slope, m, is -3/4. Now, how do we take these two pieces of information and use them to write the equation? Well, our general form here, y equals mx plus b. We're just going to put our slope in right here and our y-intercept, we'll just call it the y-int, in there for b. So what is our equation going to be? It's going to be y equals, our slope is -3/4, so -3/4, x, and our b value is 2. All right. And there's our equation. It's okay that that slope in there is a fraction. In fact, it's kind of useful that it's a fraction because it tells us the rise and the run, and it makes it easier for us to understand what's going on in that graph there. Okay, so this is a general idea of what we're going to be doing in all of these questions here today. Okay. All right, let's take a look at one where we don't have a graph. Let's keep going then. All right, so as I've been emphasizing as we go along here, what we want to do in this course is we want to use algebra to do a lot of this stuff. Okay, so we can use algebra to find the slope, the y-intercept, or both of these things. So here we're asked to find the equation of a line that has slope 2 and passes through the point 1, 5. Okay, so our first step is always going to be, let's start with our general equation here. Y equals mx plus b. Okay. Step 1. Okay. And let's think about the two things that we need to know. We need to know our value for m and our value for b. Well, they tell us one of these, right? They tell us that it has a slope of 2. So our slope is 2. We need to figure out what our b value is. Okay? Our second step is we can take this thing that we know and we can sub it in here. Okay? So we started with just y equals mx plus b. Let's put in our value for 2 for the slope. 2x plus b. That's because we're getting a little closer here. Okay? Now, we need to be able to figure out what b has to be here. Okay? Now let's see, what other information did they give us in the question? Well, they're giving us this 0.15. Okay? This 0.15 is a value for x and a value for y. So they're telling us here that x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 5. We can take those and we can sub them in here for x and y. Okay, so that's going to be step 3 here. Our y is 5. We still have the 2 there. The x is 1. And b. Now we've got a little equation that we can solve here. Okay? We've got our unknown b, and everything else is just numbers. So we're just going to take this and we're going to solve this equation for b. My first step is going to be to multiply the 2 and the 1 together. Then from here, I can subtract 2 from both sides, minus 2, and I get that b is equal to 3. So now, this thing that I didn't know, this b value, I've figured out what it is. B is equal to 3. So I can write my final equation down here. Y equals mx plus b, just putting in, well, I didn't want to write that. I want to do this. Okay? Just putting in my value for m, which is 2, and my value for b, which is 3. So there's my equation. Y equals 2x plus 3. And I'm going to put a box around it to indicate that that's my final answer. Okay? So you look at what you're given. Okay? We were given the slope, and we were given an x and a y. We put them into our equation, and then we solve for this thing that we were trying to find, this b value. Okay. All right. Let's try one that's a little bit more complicated here. Okay. Find the equation of the line that passes through the point 3,2 and the point 6,3. Okay. So again, first step is going to be, what is our general equation? Y equals mx plus b. Okay? We need to figure out what is m and what is b. Okay, so what are we given in the question? Are they telling us the slope? They are not. I don't see anywhere where they say the slope is something something. Do they tell us the y-intercept? No, they don't. So we need to figure out both of these things. Let's start with the slope. They tell us 2 points on our line here. Okay, this was to be like x1, y1, x2, y2. All right, so we can use our slope formula, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, to figure out what this slope is. Okay, so my y2 value is going to be 3. My y1 value is going to be 2. My x2 value is 6. My x1 value is 3. So my slope is going to be, let's see, 3 minus 2 is 1. 6 minus 3 is 3. So my slope is 1/3. So let's take that and put it into our equation. 1/3 x plus b. So I figured out what m is. Okay. Now, how can I figure out b? I can do the same thing that we did in the last example. I can take one of these points here, 3, 2, okay, which is telling me that x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 2. All right. And I can put those numbers into my equation. 2 is 1/3 3 plus b. Okay. And now I've got my equation that I can solve for b. Solve for b. I'm going to think of this 3 as 3 over 1. 1 over 3. 1 times 3 is going to give me 3. 3 times 1 is going to give me 3, so I'll get 3 over 3. 3 over 3 is just 1. Subtracting 1 from both sides, b is equal to 1. So my equation will be 1/3 x plus 1. Okay. Putting that value for b in here, and my value for the slope right in here.